Alright guys, so lay it on me. I want to know what you thought of Destiny's first attempt at a in-game live world event. Okay, we've seen Fortnite do stuff like this before, and Bungie decided, let's give that a shot with the Almighty and the Rasputin showdown, and that happened this past Saturday. Okay, now just to recap the events that took place, if for some reason you're not aware, although I'm sure most of you at this point have seen what happened, but basically we had a couple of really cool missile volleys coming from presumably Rasputin's defenses on Io and the moon, and probably I'm assuming Earth's volley was involved in the moon volley. Probably came from, since they had to travel about the same distance to get to the Almighty. But anyways, so we got to see these missiles coming from either end of the Almighty and eventually start making impact, and you see the explosions all over the Almighty until ultimately it culminates in a pretty radical explosion that sends the wreckage flying down to Earth, almost all of it narrowly missing the tower in the last city, and landing somewhere off in the distance, and we feel the shock wave of the impact, and it was pretty cool when it happened. Now the catch there is when it happened. So here's the thing. I want to give a little bit of feedback on this event from my perspective and the perspective of my community that was watching it live with me as it went down. We didn't have like an inkling ahead of time. They didn't say, hey, this is gonna be a long thing. Sit back, get some popcorn, and watch. You're gonna be buckling up in your seat and sitting there for a couple of hours. They didn't say that. They didn't give us a forewarning about the time, the duration, how much time of investment this event would be for us. And so almost all of us assumed that this thing would be over well under half an hour, myself included. It was on a Saturday afternoon, and I obviously had stuff going on, family stuff. I normally take Saturdays off, but I blocked out some time. Luckily, I had 2 hours, but when it was done, I had to jet because we had things that we as a family were going to be doing that day. So I didn't know that I needed to budget out that much time. So what happened is, most of us were sitting in the tower at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 Pacific, and we're all looking up at the sky, and we're like, when's it gonna happen? Well, when's it gonna happen? And it didn't happen. It didn't happen. We're all like refreshing Twitter furiously, like, is something wrong? Is it busted? And we just kept hearing, just wait, it's coming. Just wait, it's about to happen. Just wait, there's more. And so eventually, what was it? It was probably close to half an hour in before we even saw the red missiles. I think it was just a little over 20 minutes or so, but we finally saw that first volley coming from the top right of the Almighty from our perspective in the tower. And we watched and eventually we saw the second volley coming from the bottom left. And it just took so long, start to finish. It was around an hour and 40 minutes before everything really started to culminate in that explosion. And for me, when it happened, it was really cool. Like, it looked cool visually. It felt really immersive. Felt like I was part of a world that was changing, living, etc. And so it was really sweet to see that go down. The time investment was too much for me, from my perspective. I would have loved to see this be done in well under half an hour. And otherwise, if it was going to take as long as it did, I wish they would have given us a heads up, because you lost a lot of the excitement in the downtime, in the waiting. We were all pretty stoked about this event, and a lot of that excitement got snuffed out by the time investment. And, this is one of the things that I talked about with my community in real time as we were watching this go down. If something is really cool, when you go to the store, for example, say you go to the store and you see something on the shelf and you're like, that looks awesome. That's really cool. I'd like to have that. I'd like to experience that. And then the next thing you do is you look at the price tag, right? And you have to make a judgment call. Is it worth that for me personally? Is that item worth that investment? And this event is sort of like that for me. The thing that we got at the end of it was really freaking cool. It was so cool, and I was really glad that I got to be there and see it and experience it. But if I had seen the price tag for time investment ahead of time to experience that culmination, would I have paid that price? I'm not sure. I don't know that it was worth that. You're always looking forward to the cool climactic experience, that cool climax, and experiencing that, but the climax has to be a right ratio of how good it is in comparison to the time it took to get there, okay? If you're going to have 5 minutes leading up to the climax isn't expected to be that incredible. But if you have an hour and a half plus time investment to get to that climax, it better be really freaking good. You know what I mean? It's that ratio you got to play with. And it's not that we're unwilling to wait that long, but the climax has to be like, it really has to blow us away if it's going to be worth that much time investment. And I'm not sure if we got... I think this event would have been so cool if it was half an hour tops. And it, like I said, it was really cool when it happened. I was glad that I was there, but that time investment was just too much. So anyways, what did you guys think? Was the climax worth the time investment? Was it worth the wait? Was it cool enough? Was it exciting enough? I honestly was kind of expecting a twist, you know? With the time it took to get to that climax... And the fact that we weren't seeing any, like, damage on the Almighty, like, it's almost like the dam just burst as soon as it took enough damage, and then suddenly the whole thing blew up. But we didn't see any decay, no deterioration, no debris coming off of it. And so I kept getting more and more skeptical, like, is this actually going to work? And I kind of had this feeling, like, how cool would it be if we see the volley towards the end of it, you know, all the red lines have disappeared, and we see it not take the thing out, and we just have this sinking feeling like, oh no, you know, Rasputin's defenses weren't enough to take this thing down. And then what if suddenly you just see the silhouette of a pyramid ship, right, just flash there right next to the Almighty, and you hear that right, that darkness theme, and it takes one shot and shatters the Almighty and then disappears. Like, how humbling would that be if that was a twist, you know? And you're like, oh my gosh. And then suddenly you're remembering our encounter with the darkness on the moon with the Shadowkeep campaign, where they say, we are your salvation, right? Suddenly you're thinking about Luke Smith's words on the fall content, we're assuming, where he says, you are not prepared. Like, that all would culminate in that moment. We'd feel like, oh my gosh, we aren't prepared. Our best chance at taking this thing out of the sky just failed miserably. And a pyramid ship, just one, shows up and blasts the thing and takes off. It's like, oh my gosh, we're not ready to deal with this threat, are we? I don't know. Just talking out my butt, I suppose. But I kind of wanted a twist. So, anyways, for the time investment, I feel like I wanted something, I don't know, little more oomph to it. But like I said, if it was half an hour, I would have been blown away. I'd have been so happy, and I'd be raving about it. I still think it was really cool. But yeah, what do you think? Give me your feedback. Let me know in the comments section. I'm anxious to see what you thought about this event. I would like them to continue to explore this kind of storytelling, and maybe take another crack at it, take in some feedback, make some adjustments, and really knock it out of the park next time. I certainly never want to discourage attempts at trying new ways of storytelling in the Destiny universe. So I don't want to be overly critical or hypercritical, because it was pretty freaking cool. All right, let me know. Anxious to read. Take it easy, y'all. Be warm and well fed. Hope to catch you in the Crucible. Bye-bye.